Thank you, Chris and Ancient City Poets, for the opportunity to do this again, assist in hosting our open mic this month. Ancient City Poets has been hosting this event on the last Sunday of every month for like 11 years? 11 years? 10? 12? So many years, I've lost track. And it's so awesome just to let people's voices be heard at this event. That's a really long time for a thing to be happening in St. Augustine. And letting people's voices be heard is always an important task, especially right now during Pride Month. So important to hear from everyone's stories, especially LGBTQIA identities, as we celebrate love in every expression. And while acceptance is becoming more mainstream and companies are covering everything in rainbows, and that's great, and I love that. And I also want to remember that the first Pride began as a riot at the Stonewall Inn in 1969. And that was led by trans Black women. And in that spirit, there is still so much work to be done and still so many stories to be told. So whether you're sharing on this topic or not, we can all take pride in the stories of our lives and the opportunity to share those stories. So I'm going to be facilitating. Everyone who signed up on the sign-up sheet here will have time to share a poem or poems as long as they fit within a 5-minute time slot. And I'm going to keep track of the time, let you know if you're close, but I appreciate you also just being aware of the time. So keep it to 5 minutes so everyone has their turn. And that's about it. And now we have Zoe from Narrow Magazine and Start Now to talk about their latest issue. Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks. Hi, I'm Zoe, as they said with Narrow and Start Now. For you guys that don't know, Narrow Magazine is a magazine that highlights local artists and musicians in Northeast Florida, and Start Now actually helps fund artists and musicians in Northeast Florida. So let's say a musician needs to record their album, Sway back there, runs Start Now, and she'll help fund their album. So writing this issue was actually really eye-opening because I went to Flagler, which is a super liberal, everyone's accepted college, but then being in St. Augustine, where a lot of people are kind of looked down upon for being different, it's a very weird concept of how part of St. Augustine is so accepting, but then another part of St. Augustine is so you're not accepted for being who you are. And the stories, I wrote a lot of these articles, so talking to these people was just very to hear. One of the people that we highlighted was told that gay people are like prisoners. If you pray for them, they'll change. And hearing a story like that, it just breaks your heart because you shouldn't be told that I'll pray for you so that you can change who you are. So it was just something that was very important for us to highlight in the community and kind of bring awareness to. So with all that said, we have our table set up back there. We have copies so you can read the articles. And then we also have t-shirts. We have limited edition Start Now t-shirts. They're $35 and they are Pride colors. And all proceeds go to House of Prism, which is a local organization that brings awareness and brings together the LGBTQIA plus youth in our community. So, well, right back there, if you want to stop by and say hi. But thank you all for coming out.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoe, and thanks, Narrow and Start Now, for being here. Make sure you check out their table when this is over or in between. And I will go ahead and start the reading now. I put myself on the list first because I was going to be up here anyway. Okay. This is called Siphoning Survival, Reaping Revival. Come, lovely, and kiss the scar on my belly in brave, tender solace. My thoughts on you again. I led you down that trail, and the toe of your boot got wet with mud. We climbed a tree as the sun sank to yesterday. I want to call you lover, like it's our first night together, or our last on earth. Maybe that's cliche. I know she told you to count the times you sang that word, lover, on your last album. Edit some out. But I say, how could anything to do with love ever be too much? Let's play this song again and again while it's stuck in our heads. Pretend we don't know what happens when it ends. I'm not only a beautiful thing. I know you're not my answer, and I'm not yours. We're old enough not to look for answers in another anymore. What was the question, anyway? A strange, dark transformation cries for abolition. Where will we and the world be after that? I know I put my sunshine somewhere. Your breast cradled near my hip like the curve of your guitar. Sweet intentions between sacred silence and siren song. That's that one. Thank you. And the next one is called A Mother's Love is Like the Ocean, and I wrote this to my child, Dylan. The day you were born, I felt your little head like a fire between my legs. I'd made it this far without medicine, but that sensation had me begging for something numbing. Too late. The midwife asked if I'd like a mirror, so I could see me opening, you arriving. I'll admit, I was afraid to watch. You and I already knew what to do anyway, our instincts primal. I named you Dylan. It means born from the ocean. I am your mother. You were born from me. Some moments I notice you looking to me like I am also your ocean. This kind of wonder and awe in your brave, reluctant eyes, begging to believe there is nothing wrong with you. Sweet child, I knew you when you were inside of the ocean in me. I knew the roaring crash of your waves would shake the world with the rattle of your individuality. This life is meant for you. There is space here for that earth-shaking rattle and for your tender little ripples. Like most parents, I constantly worry I'm messing up my child. But that worry assumes I think my child is or will be messed up. Never. My child is a force, a rhythmic and wild miracle. Yes, I am an ocean of a mother who birthed an ocean of a child. We'll always belong to each other. Wherever this life takes you, when you stand on the sand and look at the horizon, the place where the ocean meets eternity, and notice the powerful tranquility of that connection. I hope you always see me there. That's it. Thank you. Next on the list is Loretta Leto.
Hi, everybody. Gosh, it's great to be back. I want to just make a few announcements about Pam Jam before I read my poem. Pam Jam, for those of you who don't know about it, is called it's Poets, Artists, and Musicians Spreading Joy. And we actually launched last year St. Augustine, and a lot of you are out here. And my partner was Chris Kastle of Ancient City Poets and Cindy Wilson of Butterfield, so it's appropriate. And now we've launched Ponte Vedra Beach and Jacksonville. My partners for Jacksonville are Ruth Van Alstine with North Florida Poetry Hub, sponsored by Hope at Hand. And they're going to be paired with artists from the Art Center Cooperative. For Ponte Vedra, my partners are a gathering of poets that meets at the Ponte Vedra Library and the Cultural Center. They're artists from the Cultural Center. And both are going to feature artists and poets from Women Writing for a Change. My partner, Shawnie Hall, is here, too, to help with that. And, of course, it'll be a who's who of local musicians. The showcase will be at the Art Center Cooperative the month of October, and the Ponte Vedra one will be at the Ponte Vedra Branch Library in the month of November. And there's going to be a sneak preview at the Links in Nocatee, which is the new location for the Cultural Center. And we're going to do a little sneak preview of about 6 of the videos during the day. And North Florida Poetry Hub will be there in the evening doing some readings and some spontaneous poetry writing. So with that in mind, I hope everybody will continue to support Pam Jam. This is a poem that I wrote, Taking Women Writing for a Change. It's going to be the introduction to my novel that I'll write, as well as it's going to be my next Pam Jam poem. And it's called Family Poetry. And for those of you who know me, I write about my Sicilian ancestors all the time, and that's what this is about. Family poetry. Sicilian ancestors plant seeds in foreign soil, despite the weeds. Immigrants sailed to America. She gives them birth to dig deep down inside Mother Earth. Roots take hold, descendants are born, trees grow. Each branch becomes another family to know. Each twisted twig, each veined leaf, each crested nest represent how 5 generations of 20th century lives were spent. Told by women who loved, cried, laughed, lied, while protecting those nests where stories hide. Each tree trunk ring counts passing years. Each season brings hope, fear, joy, tears. In summer, leaves turn sunny shades of green. In autumn, brown. In winter, unseen. Till new leaves bloom again in spring, when men leave nests and children sing. This is the moment, now is the time, to tell these stories in pics, prose, and rhyme. Look through these trees. There are forests to see. Come climb this family poetry.
This is my job, I forgot. Okay, Shawnie's next on the list. You got 5 minutes.
Thank you. So exciting to be here. My first time with you guys. I'm very excited. I'm going to read A Faded Rose Glory. Sitting in her favorite faded armchair, playing back the memories of yesteryear, silently awaiting time as I comb her graying hair. Closing my eyes, I feel a taint smell in the air. There are things too scary that I truly fear. Sitting in her favorite faded armchair. No sound, no movement, her eyes just stare. Her thoughts, her action diverge, very unclear. Silently awaiting time as I comb her graying hair. Her mind, her body, both damaged beyond repair, but her love for life is truly sincere, sitting in her favorite faded armchair. She was a woman of the old days, you know, the kind that is so rare. I love her, she loves me, for reasons that starts to disappear, silently awaiting time as I comb her graying hair. The sun fades fast as I say a silent prayer. The last memory brings to my eye a slow rolling tear, sitting in her favorite faded armchair, silently awaiting time as I comb her graying hair. Thank you.
Thank you, Shawnie. Next is Ruth Van Alstine.
Thank you. Gosh, that's a big mic. All right. I'm Ruth Van Alstine. I'm president of North Florida Poetry Hub, which is the local chapter of Florida State Poets Association. You can find us at northfloridapoetryhub.org, and we have free workshops and meetings on Zoom, so please just come check us out. Lots of exciting things that go on there, and we are part of Pam Jam, very proud partners. So I'm going to read to you a couple of poems. The first one is from my book, A While Away, which I wrote for National Poetry Month in April, and it's called Rebirth, which is kind of like for this month. White crystalline flakes, a union of solitaires, unique in fragility, drift in silence, merge anew, alight as one. And then, in honor of Father's Day, from Shattered Moonbeams, which is reflections of life, loss, and recovery that I wrote about my family and life. This is a Father's Day. The sun was up, and so is he, listening to his children's laughter filled with glee, tugging and tumbling every which way could be, played with children, fancy-free. Children here and children there, scampering about, blissful be. Now hush and listen to the calliope. Day's end, sun was down, and so is he, sleeping with children under the willow tree. Thank you. And lastly, I remember a stubbly cheek prickling my lips, a strong hand holding me protectively when I was small. I remember a spanking for eating mud pies, hearing stories of when he was young, lying in the grass under the stars. I remember strong arms wrapped about my trembling body, rescuing me. I remember a strong, wise, quiet guide, always there when I needed him. I remember my father. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruth. I'm sorry for mispronouncing your last name, Van Alstine. Next is Becky Magnolia. Thank you.
So first, I want to let you guys know I'm kind of new to town. I've been here for a year, and I've just started a new spoken word event that I'm calling the Truth Box. And basically, it's a little bit different. You get 6 minutes on stage to tell a story from your life. That's it. You can do it in poetry, you can do it in music, you can do it however you want, but it has to be a story from your life. I'm doing it up at Oddbird's Bar, and if you haven't been there, that place is really, really cool. They've got, a secret bar in the back. It's like this whole lounge thing. It's really fun. It's really swanky. It's a little bit different. So the next one is Wednesday, July 14th at 5 p.m., and I'm posting it all over Facebook, so just look up the Truth Box Live if you're curious. And I'm going to be around, and I'm going to be talking about it more and more, so it's out there. So I do poetry. However, today, I decided I was going to just do, I'm not organized here. People keep telling me, so I'm a writer, right? And people keep telling me, oh, what are you working on? What are you working on? And right now, I'm not working on anything, but I'm constantly writing. So I get on Facebook, and I've been using Facebook as like a tool, a blogging tool. Like, I just get on there, and I don't even care if anybody's reading it or not. These are long things that I'm writing. They're kind of poetic. This one I wrote the other day, and people are kind of following me on these stories. This most recent one is, so when I was 14, my dad was a psychiatrist, and I was diagnosed with depression and bipolar disorder. It made sense. I was a crazy 14-year-old girl, like all of us are at 14. What's that? Am I running out of time? Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to give the backstory. You're gonna figure it out, okay? I have found myself in an interesting predicament these last 6 months. Without the buffer of the antidepressants that I had been on most of my life, sometimes it feels as if there's no bottom. Sadness, despair can now arrive with intensity. The depth of this void seems so much more perilous. I will not lie, it's scary sometimes. Some early mornings, I'll lie in bed and stare at the walls, wondering where that divine spirit I had cultivated with love and fervor has gone. My life has changed so quickly in these last 3 years. I never knew the world could feel so empty. Okay. But these dark nights turn to mornings, and the birds start to sing out my window. So I pull myself from bed. I seat myself down like I do every morning on my porch in my meditation station and watch the sunrise, observe my breath, and allow all things to arise, then pass. And I feel it, a warmth in my chest, a hello of golden light, and I am reminded again of the dance of life. I'm reminded that the darkness I met in the depths of night is just part of this story, a strange, albeit unwelcome, gift of awareness. I won't lie, this place I'm at in life is challenging, maybe more than any other time, but I have this odd sort of faith, more like a knowing that I'm exactly where I need to be. Somehow these late night feelings of desolation are okay. There's a method to my madness. The darkness must have light. And somehow I know from these twisty, dark, icky places, beauty is emerging at a rapid rate. I may not always see it, but grace is there, laughing and smiling and pulling me along.
Okay, next is, I think it says Mary Yeck. There you go.
Getting up here is the accomplishment. I have 3 brief poems on a series on migration. And the reason that I'm bringing them today is partly because of the many migrations that are going on in the world, human as well as animal and avian, how they parallel one another. Migration number 1. All day under the blue canopy, they strip the trees, crimson holly and beautyberries staining their beaks and breasts, wind following their wings as they beat and beat the air that hums erratic out of the branches that rise up with them, relieved of fruit and weight. All day they enter the green umbrella, sleep silent, intent as thieves, waxwings, robins, within formations moving them to each strategic resource, some pulse fueling the whole of memory's sweep. I read my history on these templates of evasion, escape. They swarm across my field of vision, portals to the flight ahead. The birds concern themselves with elements. I struggle with the pulse that names the way toward what is home and what is not. Migration number 2. I see the geese in autumn above the Tibetan plain, all weather rising toward the mountain passes as they begin migration. The darkened room is steeped in tropical heat. I watch the screen while the naturalist explains a phenomenon of earth, air, wind, water, events that are always brewing at the juncture where monumental mass meets elemental forces. The coracoides muscles that bind their great wings struggle for blood in an atmosphere so rinsed of oxygen, no other avians can duplicate the risk. When the storm's tight bud opens above them, hiding them in its heart, do they still call out to one another? They will not all survive the journey. Lammergeiers wait where downdrafts separate the young, the weak. I too am suspended, stunned to breathlessness and struggling for balance between risk and courage, where there is no safety, no promise but survival, only in the dare. And Migration 3. From the south, in season, they begin the journey, flightless, their ragged coats without instinct to guide them. They follow patterns through steaming jungles, treacherous mountain paths, propelled by the violence of inhospitable cities, which grant no asylum, and the future fades ever northward. They follow in the wake of the monarch, the hummingbird, toward horizons of greater promise, but reach no certain source of food or shelter. Nature will treat them harshly, and they must rely on the kindness of strangers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Next we have Michael Henry Lee.
Thanks. That's perfect. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Yes, Michael Henry Lee, Japanese poetry stylist. I work primarily in the literary forms of haiku, senryu, and haibun. So I'll read some of these. Most of them, some are haiku, some are senryu. That's a whole different bag of worms. Father's Day, blowing a kiss toward the stars. Father's Day, blowing a kiss toward the stars. Summer Inlet, a kayak's wake caresses the reeds. Summer Inlet, a kayak's wake caresses the reeds. Safe sex, still refusing to relinquish our masks. And that's a senryu. Safe sex, still refusing to relinquish our masks. In the beginning, spam risk. In the beginning, spam risks. The last two here, automaton, knowing that all things work together. Automaton, knowing that all things work together. And lastly, rainbow sherbet, how easily things get misconstrued. Rainbow sherbet, how easily things get misconstrued. Thank you very much. Peace, love, and poetry.
It's fine. Well, you might need it lower too. So you're next. Natalie Beltramie is next. So thanks, Michael.
Well, I was always told that it's not a good idea to follow children or animals. But in the poetry world, it's not a good idea to follow Mary Yeck or Michael Henry Lee. But here I am anyway, so there you go. All right. First I'll start, since I looked through all my poems, and this is the only poem that I have the word pride in. So I kind of have my black pride dress on. So here is an old poem, and then I'm going to do new ones. It's called Dangerous Ecstasy. The light pulls me up and out into the meadow, soft and yellow, with spring grass that tickles the memories of a day when, drunk with purple wine and him, I ignored the danger of ecstasy and chased a brook sparkling with gold stolen from the sun, and let it and him flow around and into the crimson crevices of my nakedness. Now, shall I crush that moment as he did me, because my fragile pride would rather live in a gray room without pictures? And this is one I just finished, or maybe it's not finished, I never know. Anyway, this is called Calendar Girl. The days used to drift down from the calendar, slowly making their way to the floor of my history. Some so quiet they were hardly noticed, like a purring cat at the foot of a bed. Days soaked with perfume and champagne, some with tears. A few I framed in gold and hung on the wall, or tucked in my sock drawer to take out in the dead of night and secretly fondle. But recent days have ripped from the spiral that holds my life together, taking parts of me with them, shattered my peace, shredded my mind into little strips of thought, disconnected and incomplete, a puzzle with missing pieces, no longer retrievable from some dark corner, just gone. Soon, perhaps, it will no longer matter. Soon, perhaps, this calendar will be gone. Perhaps I can order a new one. And this probably isn't finished. This is called Possibilities, which is why it isn't finished. The new day, poised for possibilities, waits. I rise from my pillowed dreams, open the curtain to the green. I remind myself that my limbs are not as supple as the teenage cherry tree, courting the wind and flaunting its ripe fruit. I was ripe once, and there is still a tinge of redness in my cheeks as I remember the taste of kisses, not dead yet.
Thank you, Natalie. Next is Chris Kastle.
I thought I'd like to let you know that if you enjoy what Natalie and I are doing today, that on the 29th of this month, there will be a virtual concert by the Tale-Tellers of St. Augustine called Are We There Yet? All about traveling with families and such. So I hope you'll be able to attend that. Just look for the Tale-Tellers of St. Augustine on the web. I thought about a lot of poetry that I have and a lot of songs that I have that might fit the theme of today. And I thought overall that theme is really all about love. And because Narrow Magazine is here, I thought I'd also do a love poem put to music. Some people would call that a song. And it's called Summer. When the silence of the summer hangs softly in the sky, and the circus clouds parade above, their shadows passing by, and the flowers of the prairie nod their heads into the breeze, and the sun reveals the secrets beneath the emerald seas. Shall we all dance round together now? Shall we all dance hand in hand? Shall we dance along the waterways? Shall we dance upon the land? Then the thunder breaks the silence, electric in the air. Run for secret shelter that only you can share. Hold fast to each other while the stars move to align. Begin to share the memories that will forever bind. Shall we all dance round together now? Shall we all dance hand in hand? Shall we dance along the waterways? Shall we dance upon the land? Shall we raise our voices to the sky? Shall our feet rest ever on the ground? Shall we toast each other one by one? Shall we then be homeward bound? Let us all dance round together now. Let us all dance hand in hand. Let us dance along the waterways. Let us dance upon the land. Let us raise our glasses to the sun. Shall our feet be ever on the ground? Shall we toast each other one by one? Shall we then be homeward bound? Shall we then be homeward bound? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chris. Next and last on our list, actually, is Mary Shaw.
Tall person assist, please. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. This is funny because the last time I read was the first time I was here, and the last time I was the first reader. So, closing things out. Nice bookends. My name is Mary. I'm happy to be here. I have 3 things to share with you today, and the first is a poem by Rumi called The Guest House. The guest house. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And this is a poem of my own in response to Rumi's The Guest House. Arrivals and departures. This life is a guest house, you say. Arrivals every morning, you say. Try this on for size. My life is an airport terminal. Arrivals and departures every second. And baggage everywhere. Round and round the carousel. Here comes that worn-out bag again, the one nobody wants. It keeps arriving at my feet as if I have the claim ticket, and I do. Duct-taped corners, damaged and battered, too many travel miles. I haul the bag home. Rumi greets me at the door, laughing. Where is all the furniture, I say. Where is my new delight, I say. We open the bag, and all the things inside that are broken are wrapped in gratitude. This one was written in response to a prompt, and the prompt was, me and my hair. Me and my hair. Before I leave the house, I put goop in my hair. It might be too much, as the scent is so strong, but I like perfuming the air with invisible notes of jasmine and sweet orange blossom fragrance. Thank goodness you can't smell benzyl alcohol and hydroxycitronellol, because they're in there too. Additional ingredients in the little black pot of hair goop assure me that my crown of curls, somewhat thinner now, will be lush and revitalized. I don't own a brush. This bothers my mother. Tousling damp tendrils with fingers as a comb, I manage just fine to render them all into a pleasing pile of salt and pepper and wrap them in a scarf de jour. Free-range hair doesn't suit my face. I used to have plenty. Wore it in ponytails and pigtails, shiny, wavy tresses parted in the middle, draped to my elbows. They met an unfortunate end with the worst haircut in the history of 7th grade. Tortured by a woman's scissors who had never done a shag cut before. She butchered it. Recovery from these things is measured by the number of times people tell you, don't worry, it'll grow out. Well, of course, grow out, grow up, become an older woman who still checks the mirror, the storefront window, the selfie view, the computer screen before a Zoom call, or the reflection in her lover's eyes to ask, how's my hair?